don't understand why you're 40 years old and playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruising through it?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But. Well,
how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Arcade's Week in Culture. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy.
Hola.
Hello. And we got a great show for you guys this week. And actually, I am encouraged because I'm finding more good news than bad, or at least like the bad news is sort of, for me, indifferent news because it doesn't really change anything. Like, doesn't really affect my life. Mm-hmm. But it is nice to see, there's actually some positivity in the gaming space and by extension, the culture. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. So if you could, right off the bat, I'm going to ask that you guys give this video a like and share it. And if you're able to, go watch it on Rumble, because we're trying to make Rumble happen. I've been trying to make Rumble happen since I started this channel and had an account. So, I think that it is the future. And I'd like to see, what's up, Mr. 0303, Rumble Energy. Let's go, Rumble Chan. I might have to bring Rumble Chan back, I think. I might have to bring her out of retirement and figure out a way to use her to market the channel. So
most definitely. I mean, I'm a kind of a not necessarily a recent convert to Rumble, but certainly to the degree that I am after Toasty's demonetization that happened because of a Whisper Network by Alyssa Mercanti and her cohorts and ankle biters and orbiters. And we've been doing it over here primarily for the last, I think, about 2-3 weeks now, and I've found it to be far more fulfilling as an experience. You don't have to worry about, silly ass bullshit that the YouTube ghetto gives you, like copyright, stealing and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just, with what we're talking about these days, the Gamergate saga, I think is probably the better way to call it than Gamergate 1 or 2, because it's all connected. It's all the same thing. It's just been going on in various ways over the course of the decade plus that it's been happening. If you actually want to have the legitimate conversation about it, this is the place that's going to take place, especially in the coming year, I would imagine, and beyond, because YouTube, it's a homogenization zone, and if you're not one of their gilded creators that they want to platform, they're going to do everything they can to stifle you and undermine your abilities as a creator. They want everybody to be exactly the same and only speak the language they approve. And it's just, I'd much rather be free as a creator to express myself more freely, which you can do over here on Rumble, which is why I would highly suggest to anybody. There's a pinned link at the top if you're on the horizontal on YouTube, but for people that are watching on their phones, well, then we don't really have that for Rumble. So if you're watching on your phone from YouTube, by all means, continue watching there,
please. Do whatever you got to do. But I think Rumble has a decent mobile app. They just need to have their own version of Shorts, so that people can end up, doom scrolling on Rumble instead of YouTube. So, but anyway, we're going to get into the show now. But yes, if you could watch us on Rumble, I'd appreciate that. Yes, the Rumble app is actually okay. Yes, it's stepping up. It wasn't the best before, but it's a lot better now. Unlike the BitChute app, which didn't really ever improve, unfortunately. Even though there's good stuff, but BitChute doesn't do live streaming, and that's kind of like the future as well. But anyway, let us now, just without any further hesitation, let's get into our stories. So first up, we're going to be talking about Marathon, because I feel like I have to. But I do think that there is something good about this that will come of it. So, okay. So what is the deal with Marathon? So Marathon is like the latest outing from Bungie, and they put out, it was actually based on one of their very first games. It might have even been their first game, but I don't know for sure. And it was basically like, I think, I don't even know what kind of game it was. I know it was a first-person shooter of some stripe. And they're bringing back this old
IP.
This old IP, and from what I am seeing, it seems to have been a disaster. So, like, nobody seems to be interested. So, what's wrong with it? Okay. So, Bungie revealed the first full gameplay for Marathon, its upcoming sci-fi extraction shooter. Many gamers had one huge burning question: is it free to play? The answer is no. It is a premium purchase. Is that terrible? Well, I mean, like, so they did Destiny, and Destiny is like, in many ways, I guess it was like the gold standard for what it was, because if there was one dev team that knew how to do first-person shooters well, Bungie was way up there. It was like the gold standard. Everybody loves their work with Halo, but their Destiny is not without its problems, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you know anything about the issues with Destiny? I played it for a little while, but I kind of stopped. So
I've talked about it extensively on various shows over the course of the last year. Destiny was fine until it wasn't, and then now it's just it's a troon brigade basically. Everyone in the game is
Destiny?
some shade of every character in Destiny is some shade of gay or trans, or just it's made by people with pronouns in their bio, which is basically what I see when I look at this Marathon game. This is like destined to be the next Concord, in my view, at least while they are charging for it. If they don't change their method of attack and go free to play, because there's so many better options at this point in time.
Yeah, so like when it comes to, I have my question, like my issues with free to play, because I don't think that anything is like, it's not really free, like usually you're paying for something, or you are the product. But like, I think that it's the thing about extraction shooters is it's an extremely competitive market. Like it really, and there's only a few games that can, survive. I think there's one called Tarkov or something like that, and then there's obviously Helldivers 2, which is still managing to stay afloat despite all of the problems that Sony caused for Arrowhead. But that they only did that because they worked really hard to appease the fan base, right? They tried to give them what they wanted despite those issues. So the word is, we don't know what the price is for Marathon, but it will not likely be like the full AAA standard price, which is like $60, $70. It's probably be closer to like 30 or 40, which is what Concord was, which was 40. I genuinely think that the Marathon will do better than Concord, even though it is also ugly. And I want to get into the aesthetics. But that's kind of what the purpose of this is. But the reason
I don't think anything will ever fail quite as gloriously as Concord. I mean, 10 years in development to the last 10 days in the market, and then just completely be swept under the rug. And but the idea that this is what Sony's trying again, they've learned nothing in the last 6 months. It's hilarious.
Well, see, this is what they're doing. I think that they're counting on the brand, the Bungie name, to basically keep people interested, but I don't think it's going to work. I mean, like, Sony bought Bungie, right? But like Destiny has had a very like troubled cycle, not just with the stuff you were talking about, but also with, essentially, if you want to buy Destiny 2 right now, it's like $250 for like everything. And that's if you get it as a bundle. It's even more if you buy these things separately, because the game's been out for so long. And the issue too is, this is the really big issue with like games that depend on a kind of player base to like be valid. If everyone in the player base moves on to play something different, then you have nothing. You can't play the game, and then they'll eventually take it off the servers because nobody's on. So at this point, Destiny 2, I think there's still people playing it. So I'm not like necessarily, trying to call it a disaster. It was obviously successful, and it
compromised.
It ran for a long time. But I don't think it has a lot. This is just the issue of playing online only or online all the time games.
Mm-hmm.
And Marathon doesn't have any offline single player modes. It's all online. It's got, I think it's like a mix of extraction, shooter, and PvP. So it's got a mix of PvP and PvE, which is also kind of bad because people either want to play PvP or they want to play PvE, usually. Marvel Rivals, for example, is PvP all the time, but something like Helldivers 2 is PvE because you're not fighting each other, you're fighting the bugs, the bots, or the squids. And with the games that do both, usually they kind of fall short in one or both areas. Like Space Marine 2, which I love, I never play the PvP. And I don't think anybody does. I think it's just sort of tacked on, and it's not like a really popular thing, right?
Right.
Well, what's that sound, that noise coming from you?
What's it sound like?
It was like a droning sound, like there was like a killer robot in your house or something.
I don't
like
know.
a humming.
There's a train getting ready to go by.
Oh, that might be what it was. It just sounds weird through the microphone. Anyway, so yeah, Space Marine 2 tried to do both of those things, and I don't know how popular PvP is. I don't think it is. I think the PvE is what most people play when they play Space Marine 2, because I think it does it very well. And we're going to get into some new stuff they released for Space Marine 2 that's free a little bit later in the show. So so Marathon it's up against some stiff competition that does it better. And on top of that, and this is the thing that's crazy about Marathon as well, they're going to say there's not going to be any proximity chat for Marathon because they want to create a safe space for players. No proximity chat. Okay. It's also got, I guess, like it's sort of got hero shooter elements.
Right.
And which some people don't like. I mean, I think it can work if the characters are interesting. I think Overwatch started off fine, and then they lost the plot when they made everybody queer. Mm-hmm. And I think people lost interest. I guess Apex Legends does well. Marvel Rivals is good, but you're working with 50-year-old IP characters that everyone knows. So it's like probably the best, way to sort of create something like that. But you also have to do a good job in terms of gameplay and whatnot too. You can't just rely on the name. That's what happened in multiverses. So it also caused that. But now we're going to get into how ugly this game is.
Yeah.
So
this is where the real Concord comparisons come in.
The Art4 in the chat says, good thing wasn't Marathon Apple. Yeah. Marathon Apple in the mid-90s, talk about niche market. Yeah, it was on Apple. It was Macintosh. It was probably the only one. So good luck for the member berries. Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what this game is.
Yeah, they just know that it had existed at one point in time because it's been mentioned in passing over the years. But yeah, you're talking about a 30-year-old, brand that most people only have maybe secondhand knowledge of. Yeah. Yes, it is very strange that they decided to go back to that. I think it's very risky, honestly. So okay, so anyway, let's get into the game's aesthetics. Maybe there should be some stuff on the main website, right? So ready for your first look at Marathon from the creators of Halo and Destiny. So this is what they're depending on, is using this name. Yeah, so here's the aesthetic. All the characters look like this. They're kind of like androgynous, punky, cyborg people. Mm-hmm.
And the
transhumanism agenda.
Yeah. So, okay. So can you do a story involving cyborgs without it feeling like it's, got a agenda behind it or whatever? Yeah, I think
RoboCop was great.
RoboCop was awesome. But it should be I think that the way that these guys, okay, so it comes down to the trust we have in the team, in the developer. How many times has Bungie burned people, with Destiny 2 and the issues that it had? And how many times has Sony burned people with this stuff? I think people are sensitive to what they perceive as ideological BS when it comes from certain, like sources, and it's not executed well. I think aesthetics matter. And I think that Marathon, I'm trying to find some images here. Maybe you know what? I have some stuff here. Hold on.
I have been jokingly referring to Marathon as Metacone. Last few.
Calling it what?
Metacone.
Why? Maricon?
Because it's pejorative. It's well, one of the guys, Furious Dan, he and I are on a lot of things. He makes memes, and he's constantly he's putting Maricon on just about everything, right? And this was the one time where he went and made a meme, and he didn't use it, and I was like, Dan, golden opportunity was right in front of you. It was right there. You didn't take it, didn't even think about it, But yeah, wow, that is quite the Troonish image.
According to the plot, the characters are like they've basically become like machines. So they've basically had been cybernetically altered so much that they are no longer really human. So they're sort of like the lore claims this, right? That they're sort of like androgynous on purpose. But they obviously usually androgynous just means looks more feminine, like that. So they try to make it kind of feminine, but they also uglify it with these weird design choices. But I want to compare it to something else that I think did it very well and also had a slightly different intention. Okay. So Cyberpunk 2077 is a dystopian world, and the people who wrote the story. So I'm not talking about the people at CD Projekt Red. They were just adapting what was there. Okay.
Yep.
So I know that CD Projekt Red people are woke and all that, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who created the world. The guy, Mike Pondsmith, who created the world of Cyberpunk, who based it on several sort of science fiction novels like Neuromancer and When Gravity Falls or Fails, I think it's called, and others, Blade Runner, etc.
Yep.
There is the world itself is, it has elements of transhumanism in the game, which you obviously see, and the cybernetics, and the idea of, this is a sort of Gnostic idea that the soul and the body are separate, and all of these things are in the world, but it's purposeful because you are looking at the consequence of a, severely materialistic, atheistic society that is basically everybody grasping at what is in the real world. They want to live forever because they don't know what comes after, or they believe nothing comes after.
Right.
All of that is built into the story and the setting, which is the way you should do it. We can explore these ideas. And I think Cyberpunk 2077 does it well because it does not celebrate it. It actually shows you. Yeah, it shows you a world that's tragic. It shows you a world that's broken, and and all that. I'm not saying this game does do the opposite of that, but it doesn't have a story at all, from what I know. There's going to be very little lore. It's not like Destiny or Halo, where the gameplay serves the story. That's the one thing that people love about games like Halo and Half-Life and BioShock and System Shock is that they're games that are first person action games, but the story is woven into the game, right? Even in some ways, very genius ways. And I don't think that Marathon's going to have that, because it's essentially just an extraction shooter with PvP, and it happens to have these sort of cyborg characters in it, which are very unattractive. And Asmongold got into a little bit of trouble because he said that you should be able to. I forgot what he said. The characters should be fuckable, I think is what he said. And some people got their panties in a twist over it. Wokies on the left, as well as sort of hysterical religious zealots.
Disorder.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think that they're missing that. Like, Asmongold, in my opinion, is probably just, doing bants. He's just making light of this situation, but he's sort of pointing to something that's true, which is that this game is really ugly. And there are characters in Cyberpunk 2077 that resemble characters like this, but you'll see them, as you're walking through the game, you'll run into them, but they're usually like rare. They're like prostitutes or something like that, where they're built that way on purpose, but you're supposed to be creeped out by it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Marathon looks like this is not how you do aesthetics. And I think that especially characters like this character's named Void.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are heroes in this as well, and I don't know where they're going with this, but it's it looks like it's gonna go the way of Concord, but I have
feminist future.
Yeah, right. I have a feeling that there's another image that it's going to do better, but it's not going to it's probably not going to turn a massive profit. It just won't be as terrible a disaster as Concord was.
Yeah, and that's only really due to the fact that it doesn't have the money sank into it that Concord has had.
I think they are. I think that Bungie might actually be pandering to the Reddit people or something.
Yeah,
that's what I suspect.
This looks like a Reddit thread. Come to life.
Yeah, for sure.
The game will come pre-soaked in cat piss.
Okay, so anyway, speaking of Reddit, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about Lords of the Fallen 2.0 and how much of a 180 this game pulled and how amazing it was. So, okay, let me just get a good website to look at this. No, for some reason, nobody's really talking about this. All right, so this is games, PC Games, n.com. I'm not really sure who they are, but there's a game you guys might remember. It didn't really blow up, but in 2014, there was a game released called Lords of the Fallen. It was basically one of the earliest Souls-likes. It was competing with whatever Souls game was out at the time. I think it was Dark Souls 3. And or maybe it was around then, but it did not do well. It basically just wasn't. It didn't have a really strong impact on the industry. People didn't really find it very impressive, and so the IP that game was just kind of a flop. It was mid basically, and that's not good in this competitive industry. And then later on, they tried to make a sequel to it. I think it was the Lords of the Fallen 2, and that one also failed because it was competing with games like Lies of P, which had done the Souls-likes justice. And I just want to say I hesitate to use the term Souls-like because it's kind of a narrow way to describe these games. They're basically just action RPGs, and they take from the success of the Souls series in order to work, but it's not like it's something that is unique to these games. Okay, we just borrow some of the component, but so that didn't work either. And then a different company bought the IP, and in 2023 they released a reboot of Lords of the Fallen. They were just determined to get this name out there. Okay,
right.
So and in 2023, they released this game, and it was probably the best outing that they had done so far, but it still didn't quite succeed. So they had to figure out what the issue was. And this one, it was this reboot of Lords of the Fallen, originally a 2014 title by Deck 13, launched with ambitious goals, utilizing Unreal Engine 5 and featuring a dual realities premise with the umbral realm of the dead. However, it faced criticism for technical issues, clunky performance, and combat that did not resonate with all the players. Despite CI Games facing layoffs in 2024, Hexworks continued to support the game with regular updates. Version 2.0 was developed, which is what we're talking about today, to address player feedback and polish the experience with a release on all platforms except for Steam, where a technical issue caused another delay. But they did end up releasing finally this 2.0. But what's really interesting about this though is that the lead developers over at Hexworks, they polled the players everywhere on X, on Steam, etc., and saying, like, asking new questions. What do you want in the game? What do you want in the game? And they even, one of them, for example, was, do you prefer body type A or B, or do you want male or female? And I think that like 86% of people voted male or female. And so
resoundingly.
they just gave them, resoundingly, yes. And they gave them what they wanted. And so Lords of the Fallen 2.0 is essentially what happens when a developer asks the audience, asks the customers what they want, and then the customers tell them, and then they give it to them.
Yep.
And so
it's a very reality-based way of actually going about doing business.
Yes,
rather than some weird kind of consumer model that's just top-down. You will take what we give you and deal with it.
Yeah. So what were the developers' philosophy behind this? Hexworks aimed to distinguish Lords of the Fallen from other Souls-likes by focusing on its unique identity, particularly through the Umbral Realms risk-reward mechanics and a heavy metal-soaked dark fantasy aesthetic, which it absolutely has. It's like a dark metal like game, like like Elden Ring looks alien, like the Souls games. They have an alien-like appearance to them. This game looks like the cover of, like, you know, a Black Sabbath album or Man of War. Exactly. Yeah.
They should got High Lung to do the music.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with them, they're awesome.
They had a dedication to community feedback, prioritizing polish and accessibility while preserving the game's punishing difficulty. Features like improved tutorials and the Friends Pass indicate a philosophy of broadening the game's appeal without diluting its core challenge. The artistic ambition, the developers maintain a focus on delivering a visually and thematically rich experience, leveraging Unreal Engine 5 to create a distinct world. The updates, refinements, UI modernization, combat tweaks, etc., reflect a balance between artistic vision and practical gameplay enhancements. And they are, despite this, the setbacks such as the layoffs and, you know, tariffs, I guess, CI Games' ongoing support and plans for a 2026 sequel demonstrate a philosophy of perseverance and investment in the franchise's growth, aiming to build a lasting Souls-like legacy. And here's another thing. So they added this new feature to this game. Now, I never played these games before. I remember when the original Lords of the Fallen came out in 2014. I could tell what they were trying to do, but I didn't think they were going to execute it. And my you know, my thoughts were concerned. My suspicions were confirmed. And they even tried another game that had like a science fiction bent on it. And I played it for a little while, but I just lost interest. But this one, and it's not the same devs, they sold this to a different team, but this game, that one of the things that I thought was particularly interesting is this interesting co-op element to it. So let me see if I can find so it's got this thing called shared progression cross-play co-op. The update introduces a seamless co-op with shared progression across platforms, allowing players to team up without losing individual progress, a significant upgrade for multiplayer engagement. And with this, which is extra interesting, is a free Friends Pass, which is a new feature that lets players who own the game invite a friend who does not own it to play online co-op for free, broadening accessibility. So they're letting, so like I heard that and I saw the gameplay. Now, I don't know what you guys think about Unreal Engine 5. I know that everyone's using it, and so in a way, it gets a lot of criticism. I don't know anything about game engines, but
I was bad-mouthing it just yesterday.
Oh yeah, from what I heard though, this game does make very good use of it. Yeah, some people say is some of the best use of the Unreal Engine, but that could be true. So one other thing that I thought was worth pointing out with this game as well is I want to show you guys something here.
Unreal is decent in the sense that it's middleware that is pretty easy to pick up and kind of understand. But
Mm-hmm.
therein lies kind of its flaw, that it homogenizes games to a wide degree. And their metahuman system is based on an androgynous model set. So you have to import new meshes to make women look like women.
I see. Well, they are doing that in this game. You know, so like on top of that, Lords of the Fallen is on sale for 67% off on Steam, on PlayStation, on Xbox, everywhere. It's on sale for very low. So you can get it for $20, under $20 now. And if you know somebody who has it, you can play it with them for free. And I think this is so basically what I'm saying is this is how you essentially make up for your errors. You know, the game had some issues, technical issues mostly. It wasn't like they mistreated their fans or anything like that. So what they did was they said, okay, guys, what do we need to do to address this? How do we fix this? And they listened to the fan base, gave them what they wanted, and then some. It was more than what they were asking for. And they made it free to play with yourself and a friend. I think that's a massive, massive undertaking. And this is good because the Elden Ring Night Reign is coming closer. And of course, everything from software in this particular arena always dominates. So it's okay that there's more competition, which I welcome. And I picked up the game. I bought it today. I was like, I'm going to buy this because I learned about all the stuff they did. And I said, I want to show support. The game looks fantastic. I haven't played it yet, but I'll follow up and let you guys know what I thought when I get a chance. And if anybody wants to play it with me for nothing, let me know in the comments. Maybe join the Discord server and shoot me a message in the Discord community, and we'll try it together, and you can give me your thoughts. I understand that when you hear...
Take you up on that. Maybe we can talk about it together.
After the show, yeah. If you... I heard that it's not as punishing as Souls games typically are. I don't find Souls games to be that hard. I think it's an overblown thing, but I hear this isn't even as hard as that. It's actually got more of a cozy feel to it, but it does have some. That doesn't mean it doesn't have any challenges. But they just did a really good job of balancing that out, from what I heard. And like I said, from the gameplay I saw, it does look fantastic, and I love the dark fantasy aesthetic they got going on. So anyway, do you have any thoughts on this? Did you know about this Lords of the Fallen 2.0?
I've known that they've been doing some actual work that wasn't just lip service, so it's certainly been on my radar as much as any games can be this at this point. Still trying to secure getting comfortable enough to just say I have money for groceries and extra things. So
Did you know the lead dev that was doing all this? You know, he got a lot of crap from the gaming press. They were telling him so like a bunch of the woke gaming press went after Lords of the Fallen, saying that this guy is like he's blaming DEI and like for the state of games, and he's like pandering to the chuds. Like, this is literally a thing that I saw, and he actually responded to them and said, your shit is not helping me sell games. Like, he basically pushed back against the game journos who are trying to like concern troll him into like bending the knee to them. And he says, no, I serve the players. The players want this. I'm going to give it to them. Male and female characters, dark fantasy aesthetic, unapologetic. One of the other things he asked in his poll was, do you think this game should have an easy mode? It's basically like he went down the line of basically every talking point that the games media and the activists, the hacktivists and the prostitutes bring up when they talk about other From Software games. Things like, oh, there should be an easy mode. Oh, there should be a journo mode. Oh, there should be body type A and B. You should be able to put penises on your women and vaginas on your men or whatever. And
I need those zipper tits.
Yeah, he asked the gamers. He said, do you guys want this? And resoundingly, they were like, no, we don't want this. So it just exposes how unpopular these people's perspectives are. And he delivered on it. And when they attacked him, he said, no, fuck you guys. I'm going to give the customers what they want. So with that said, that's why I bought the game. And I don't normally like buy games just to be like look at me, I'm virtuously buying this game that I won't play. No, I'm going to play it, and I'm looking forward to playing it because it looks good. Like, he looks like not only did he give the players what they wanted, but he actually did a good job of, you know, making the product, or at least his team did, despite all of their setbacks. So this is all like, I think this is all just win-win-win. And I look forward to their sequel, because I think that something like this will only essentially serve the gaming space, period, like the whole industry, right? So like, From Software doesn't have competition in this environment. A lot of people make games like this, but most of them don't do well. But now there is competition. Games like Lies of P, which I hear is very good as well. I played the demo and I liked it quite a bit. And now Lords of the Fallen 2.0. So I would say, yeah, man, let's fucking go. And I want more of this in other places. But I do have some more things to say about the good stuff going on in gaming as well. But anyway, do you have any final thoughts before I move on to the next thing?
I mean, I'll definitely look into this with more of a, I guess, open heart and an inquisitive mind, because I mean, I have heard nothing but good coming from the developers for, I'd say, like at least the last 6 months or so. So, and I'm very much, you know, here I am proselytizing for Rumble, talking about how you actually want to, you know, be in parity with the people that you're actually doing business with, and not, you know, focusing on tangenticals like advertising and, you know, the press corps and all this kind of stuff. So certainly something that I'm far more interested in just off of this discussion today. So yeah, no, I'll definitely take a look at this.
All right, cool. Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about this one in the description. What do you think about the developers actually siding with gamers and giving them what they want? I know that's a rare thing these days, but it does seem like it's going in the right direction, at least for some people. Marian Rabarik says, I wouldn't exactly call Elden Ring and the Dark Souls games as alien per se. Mystic or mythic would be apt. Well, Elden Ring has like elements of like Lovecraftian sort of like, you know, Lovecraftian elements to it, because there's like, you know, yeah, there's like elder gods and outer space shit. Dark Souls is more like a dark fantasy, but I would say that Elden Ring has elements of, you know, Lovecraftian stuff in it. Kind of like, in a way, Conan the Barbarian has that too, where, you know, there isn't a lot of magic, but when it does, it's sort of like very dark magic from like unknowable places, you know. Marian Rabarik says they nerfed the difficulty of Lies of P recently. Well, is that bad? That sounds bad. I'm not, that's too bad. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next story. You'll find that like the theme today is going to be art. So I have this and like ugly art is a big part of it too, but I have this game that somebody in my Discord server told me about. I wanted to just mention it briefly. So like, on the other side of that, what we were just talking about giving gamers what they want and not having any agenda. So like Lords of the Fallen has no politics, but of course, even when the developer says, I'm not putting any of this modern bullshit in my dark fantasy setting, which is another one of the questions he explicitly asked the fans about. He was like, do you want gender politics in your dark fantasy? And they were like, no. There are people who can't help but put gender politics in everything. So this game comes from a developer called Frog Vibes, and the publisher's Gears for Breakfast. And it's called Here Comes Nico. And I want you to notice, like, what's the color scheme of the game.
Oh, yeah. So there it is right there, trans flag.
Yep. And so Here Comes Nico is a 3D platformer for tired people. It's basically trans ideology. And the character in it, let me find the, I got like a little bit of a description about it here that I will read for you guys. So Gears for Breakfast is a global game development studio based in Denmark. That explains a lot. Founded in 2015. They are best known for their work on A Hat in Time, a 3D platformer released in 2017, which gained acclaim for its charming art style and nostalgic gameplay reminiscent of classic N64 titles. I kind of remember A Hat in Time, but I never played it. And Here Comes Nico has a notable connection to trans ideology, primarily through its protagonist and visual design. So Nico, the main character, is strongly implied to be non-binary or agender, as they are consistently referred to with they/them pronouns throughout the game. This deliberate choice, sorry, not delicate at all. This deliberate choice by the developer signals an intentional representation of a non-binary character aligning with trans and gender non-conforming visibility in media. The game hints at Nico's strained relationship with their mother may be tied to their gender identity, as the mother's role is limited to a few messages, and this tension is suggested as a reason for Nico running away. So Nico is a troon that runs away from home and has mommy issues.
That never happens.
I mean, I'm just saying, they're just telling you what they're doing here,
right, yeah.
So this resonates with apparently resonates with real world experiences of trans and non-binary individuals who face familiar rejection due to their craziness, a common theme in trans narratives. Yeah. So I remember in 2014, this is 10 years ago, no, 11 years ago now. There were a bunch, and I bet there still are, on itch.io. There were a bunch of like indie game developers making games about trans identity, queer identity, and all of that, right? Obviously, people who are terminally online, addicted to porn, troon porn specifically, and they just have problems at home, and they're seeking an escape through like identifying as something else, through this like idea that their body is a prison that's keeping them back. It's very like, well, it's heretical, like literally it's heresy, and they don't know how to cope with it. So they make these games, and really all of these things they're just about themselves. They claim that it's for other people, but it's just about themselves. It's just narcissism that they can't get out from underneath, right?
It's coping and seething with sprinkles on it.
Yeah, but like sprinkles of shit, because they're not tasty. Yeah, so the game's title
and Nico's
outfit and the color scheme is intentional. Obviously, we can see that. This is like another way again of like not even subtly signaling to people like this is a troon game. But that is the game doesn't have any conflict. It doesn't have a big bad. There's no bosses. This ensures, according to the game's context, the game's lack of conflict or a big bad ensures that Nico's identity isn't framed as a source of struggle within the game world itself, unlike the implied tension with their mother. Instead, the focus on friendship and helping others creates a safe, affirming space, which can be interpreted as a metaphor for the kind of acceptance trans and non-binary individuals often seek. While the game doesn't explicitly... Yeah, way more gay. Way more gay. While the game doesn't explicitly discuss trans issues, its design choices, pronouns, colors, and subtext make it quiet but meaningful piece of trans representation in gaming, reflecting a growing trend of indie games embracing queer themes during the early 2020s. So this is a theme that's been emerging for the past like 5 years. So this is Here Comes Nico. Bob the Darkest Fairy says, meanwhile, It Space Game Jam is making the Red Planet games. Yes, I'm going to be on the It Space today, later on in the afternoon. I think I'm going to be doing some co-hosting. So it's good to get some parallels here. Now, of course, games like this are going to get their funding because this is the correct like approach, right? So this is the correct ideas being pushed out. And of course, they're going to
state-based propaganda, basically more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but let's just say, and look at the reviews, very positive, 92%. It's got 976 user reviews. But how many people are actually playing the game?
Right.
Let's take a look. 2. And it had a peak, 415 was the all-time peak. This is kind of an old game. It's not new. It came out in 2021. But it had a peak of 415 players. So it's not, I don't find it to be at all a threat to anything.
I'd say that's probably the only reason that it has such a high percentage on calling it a positive game, because this is completely under the radar. This is made for its pillow biting audience, and you know, that's sweet dreams.
Yeah, for sure. So so anyway, that was it for that. Let me know what you guys think about It's Nico or whatever the hell it's called. Here Comes Nico. Yikes. I just realized how that is phrased. Let us know what you guys think about that one in the comments. I'm cringing. So speaking of art again, and I think this is like important to look at briefly. So Alyssa Mercante, who has 788 subscribers already, has made
she's yet to get double digits in terms of people that actually watch her live streams, that she immediately privates right thereafter, because she's a special one. I've told her to her face as much as one can through the internet that she needs to fix her fucking audio and understand that even if she comes into the space with her elitist attitude, way too much expectation and assumption that she's just gonna like own everybody and show us how it's done. She doesn't understand the nature of any of these things, and she's barely even clinging on to her cover as being a journalist, when all she really is just an activist with connections. So
no, for sure. Well, I'm not okay. So I'm mentioning this video, but I'm not really here to talk about Alyssa Mercante. I want to make a different point. Ultimately, and I'm not saying this as an insult, but Alyssa Mercante is what we call in like people who understand what's going on in our culture. She is a useful idiot. Yeah. She is basically just carrying water for communists and doesn't even know it. She probably would, cape for commies whenever. I mean, she's almost as bad as David Jaffe, who should know better. But
I mean, ultimately, I sent her a thank you after because like the deplatforming attempt that ultimately led to a demonetization of Toasty is why we're doing so well with her Rumble channel and everything that we do over there. I mean, she's constant rake stepper. I call her Sideshow Bob all the time because they have pretty much the same size forehead, and but I don't want to make this about her either, because she is pretty much, as you said, she's just a useful idiot. So I've had conversations with people about, they're like, oh, we just need to get rid of her, and it's like, no. This is a barometer for insanity, and so it's good to have that in a place that's contained.
Yeah, she's not special though. Like this, what I mean is that this opinion, this perspective that she's sharing in this video in particular is very normal for this kind of person. So for like
she's more of a product than a person.
Yeah, but even like the normie lib would agree with the main point she's making. So she made a video here called "Why Are Chuds Coping and Seething Over South of Midnight?"
South of Profitability. Would be the more appropriate name for it.
But anyway, in her video, she tries to make the argument that this game is not like generic first-person shooter, Call of Duty 9, like that is just there to tick boxes and make money and create a massive player base. This game is art. Now, this is her argument, okay? And I said, somebody else made a video talking about it. And I commented on the response video because I had to find this video. I couldn't find her channel, but I made a comment on that video and I said she is correct. And this is like she is correct. This game is art, but let me explain what I mean. I'm not making a defense of Alyssa Mercante or South of Midnight.
Well, not all art is good art, but it can still be art nonetheless.
I had a discussion way back during Gamergate about whether or not video games are art. And it was a big debate. We had a debate about it. It was like me and Allison and a friend of mine named Sour Grape, and I think Dr. Randomcam was there. And we were all talking about it. And they had different takes. Like, Allison she's more into the sort of like, postmodern art stuff. So she it almost made the kind of like everything can be art if you want it to be defense. And And other people had different, like Mike, Dr. Entercam, he said, well, it certainly has art in it, therefore, it's art.
Mhm.
My thing was back then is that, yeah, it can be art, but that doesn't mean it's good art, right? That was what I said at the time.
Yeah.
But
like duct taping a banana to a wall. That's
yeah,
quote,
exactly.
unquote, art,
But here's the thing: duct taping a banana to a wall. See, it's not just that is considered art, but it's essentially a gatekept form of prestige that is applied to bananas being duct taped to walls or rock, like a giant rock.
Right.
That's like a piece of art you can look at. A Rothko, a Pollock, whatever. And I know that I've said this a lot on this channel before, but it's really important to understand that South of Midnight is a game that was made, and also the Here Comes Nico could also be lumped in with that, even though it just looks like Paper Mario with Troons, because it's saying the right things, because it has the correct opinions, because it's sending the message. Why, again, do the Oscars celebrate Oscar bait movies about the struggle, a women's fight against whatever, sexism themes, racism themes, homophobia themes, transphobia themes? Why do they explore them? Capitalism as a, critiques of capitalism. Toxic masculinity. Why is adolescence like the hottest topic right now all over the world? Because it's a TV show. Because people at the top decided that was art. And that because they've given it the title of art, we all have to talk about it now. Jordan Peele just released like a trailer for a new movie called Him, which is a horror film about football. And I already know it's going to be about the struggle in some way, because that's all of his movies. Like, nobody wants to accept it, but it's true. People are like, oh yeah, Get Out was so good. It was art. Yeah, it was, because it had a specific political agenda that it was trying to send. And South of Midnight is the same. So when somebody like Alyssa Mercante or the people who are on the board for the Academy Awards, or some film critic like, Mark Kermode or whatever, when they say this thing is art, they are not wrong, because what they're doing is they're using the gatekeeping standards of that elitist attitude that comes out of the art world, and they're applying it to other aspects of culture in order to lift up things that they think should be. So when they say this thing is art, they're trying to elevate the status of that thing by calling it that. And that was what it always was, right? So like when people like Norman Rockwell would make his paintings, or Boris Vallejo or Frank Frazetta, when they would make their dark fantasy paintings, no matter how beautifully executed they were, no matter how beautiful the work looked, the art world, the critics, the museum owners, the gallery curators, whatever, they would call that illustration. Well, that's not art. And because it wasn't saying anything. Lords of the Fallen, it's a good example, because it has a dark fantasy aesthetic, and it is unapologetically that, right? There's like demons and there are knights. Like, you're literally playing like a crusader. And I did get in the game a little bit and make a character, and I have like a big cross tattoo on my chest. Like, that's how unapologetically based that game is. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a good time. Like, it's got a dark aesthetic. It's not preachy. It's just going to be fun. The new Ninja Gaiden that's coming out looks like it's just going to be fun. The new Shinobi, like, no agenda and beautiful to look at, right? All of the Souls-likes have a beautiful art direction, which I've talked about on this channel, the importance of the art direction. Marvel Rivals has beautiful art direction in a different way. Even Helldivers 2 has beautiful art direction, the way they light things, the way the creatures are designed, the way that they pay attention to little details. All of that stuff is beautiful art direction, but it's not necessarily political, right? It's not saying anything about our world. It's not steeped in presentism, which is like, we have to talk about the Orange Man, we have to talk about the tariffs, we have to talk about Elon Musk, we have to talk about climate change, we have to talk about feminism, we have to talk about sex workers, whatever. We're not doing that in those games. We're just doing the game. And that means it's not art because it's just representing the beauty of reality or the beauty of something that could be real. Like you want it to feel like, immersive, like a world you're escaping into, right? But you base that on some real elements, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to, yes, like Marin Rabarik says, art used to and should in the future imply skill. Yeah, there is a craftsmanship that should be respected, right? So when in the visual arts, when there was a shift and around the time of the turn of the century, like, the Industrial Revolution, but later around the time of the Industrial Revolution, there was this idea that art it was more important that it symbolized something than it represents something. That means that you don't have to be good at drawing things or painting things. It was essentially like lowering the bar across the board. And that's kind of like a commie approach to everything, right? So they're like, well, I don't like the fact that this person's better than me at drawing, so they should be made to draw worse. Or better yet, because we can't actually do that, why don't you elevate my scribbles because I told you that my scribbles mean something, politically, like that you agree with, whereas the other person just wants to draw something beautiful. Yeah. And that's kind of what, when Alyssa Mercante makes that defense, she's saying that this game is art because it has the right political opinions, which I have confirmed it does. I'll show you. So the themes are, it features the black woman is the protagonist, and she is unapologetically black, set in the South with black music and culture. It's according to Vice, the website Vice describes the protagonist Hazel Flood, yes, that's her name, Hazel Flood, as a black woman on a quest to save her mother, emphasizing the game's focus on black identity. The setting is filled with black people, as is stated by Vice, and the narrative draws heavily on Southern black culture, which makes race the central theme. It spotlights slavery, the struggle, the
ongoing trauma from from
the
generational
the
civil rights
trauma,
right, from the civil rights struggle. It's
Vice added that the game blatantly addresses things like slavery, weaving these historical elements into the narrative to reflect the South's past. The theme of poverty is present in the game, of course, calling this, again, it's a black game. Pointing to the rough and unfair economic conditions faced by Southern communities. By the way, a lot of white people in the South are poor too, but who the fuck cares about them, right? Vice similarly notes the game's focus on the mistreatment of and poverty of poor people in the South, talking about systemic inequalities. So the game is rife with trauma across generations. As you said, that's one of the primary themes of the game. It recognizes trauma can carry across generations, tying it to family dynamics and the South's historical context. Vice describes stigma as the physical manifestation of people's trauma, manifesting as enemies. So the enemies in the game that you confront are your generational trauma made manifest. Mm-hmm. So the game is unapologetically woke, and the purpose of it is, of course, to make sure that the players who play the game will see the struggle, and then the purpose of it is to essentially affirm black people's resentment more and scare the shit and guilt the shit out of white people. That's the purpose of it. And so that is art doing what it's supposed to do. Now, we have another word for that. It's called propaganda, but that is what the elites call art today. And when Alyssa Mercante says this game is art, she is not lying. She is defining the terms because her elitist overlords have decided that. And it's been going on for over 100 years. Like it started in the visual arts. And because who the hell goes to art museums today? Like modern art museum? Nope, only elitist pricks do. Why? Because they get to go there and say, this is really important. And it makes me a better person that I recognize that. It's just like people who watch Oscar-winning movies, regardless of how shit they are, because they want to feel better than other people. So,
right.
Anyway, That is a Mercante cam, yes. I was just, I didn't play the video. I might do a response video to this video like later on, but I wanted to like at least bring this up. It's art, propaganda art. Yeah, well, like everyone's trying to sell some ideas when they make something. That's just, I think so. Yes. I mean, even if the thing is, this thing is beautiful, that's still an idea, right? Like if I just paint like a landscape like Bob Ross, and you just look at this as nature is beautiful. That's what the message is. It's just that sometimes there are things that we all relate to because they have a universal appeal, and sometimes there are things that you know you have to like manipulate people into perceiving, which is what this stuff does.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you have anything else to add to that?
I mean, as it applies to this game, it's already getting into its apathy stage. This is kind of an epilogue in terms of the conversations that I've been having about it. It showed up. It gave Alyssa and her ilk something to cling to for a few weeks, and now they'll be on to the next thing that they can prop up as a way to prop themselves up more so than anything. They need stuff like this to reinforce their quote unquote relevance, because like they're not actually operating under systems of merit that require talent, skill, and ability. They're, as I said, she's more of a product than she is a person. This game is more of a product than it is a project. Everything that I've seen about it is just laughable. When part of your art direction is making it look like you're having buffering issues and your game is experiencing slowdown, that's probably not a wise choice to make. But hey, you do you. But yeah, there's not really too much to say about it that hasn't already been said.
Bob the Darkest Fairy says force critical consciousness behaviors. Yeah, that's the point though. And that's why I'm saying, like, she's not wrong. Like I think that we have to wrestle with the fact that art has been an elitist thing for a long time, and that we don't have to necessarily like make the case for the thing that we like is art. Like I don't know, is there like a game that you guys think you would call art, like Shadow of the Colossus? Or well, that's one that comes to mind right off the bat, is Shadow of the Colossus, maybe Journey, but I think that it's like, then you have to ask, why are we deciding that? Like, why is that the case? And I think that it really isn't the title of art is not really that much of a big deal, because I think that it's used to artificially uplift things.
Yeah, when I was in art school, that was one of the big things they were trying to push through. Of course, that's where I also first heard the term narrative design, which was the precursor for all DEI integration into gaming. And it really seemed to stem from this idea of these ideological heads that were platformed into the positions to push narrative messaging over just actually teaching people the fundamentals of making fun games, and actually focusing on Twitch mechanics and just having a flow state. So it's kind of where we have arrived after 20 years of indoctrination. You start to see this stuff. It's like weeds in the garden. It'll always sprout up, but that's why you have to be ready and diligent to pluck them as they sprout. Otherwise, it'll just overrun everything. You won't actually be able to find the good things amongst all the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that once you start accepting the framework of there are games that are art and then there are games that are just games, that's how these people get their work, their shit in there, because now it's just like with the movies. I said last week that I saw this interview clip with Quentin Tarantino, where he was sort of ranting about how movies are that used to be for the working class.
Yep.
It used to be for working class people. It was like inexpensive to go to, and you would basically record a performance and then just replay it. It was basically like plays for cheap, right? and people would go watch them on the cheap, and that we did that for a long time. And now movies are, you know, they're just vehicles for the message, and they're everyone's trying to make art now in the movies. And this is the same with, you know, the same thing with books, the same thing with video games, television shows. I think the only place where that's not happening is music, because music has gone to shit so bad. But yeah, I mean, like they're using it to push this messaging, and if it's not pushing the message, and that's their message, then it isn't considered art, and that's what we have to reject instead of like making the defense. Because like if somebody said Katamari Damacy is an art museum, I love Katamari Damacy. I think it's a fun game. But I don't need to call it art to make it to like elevate its status. It's already good. It speaks for itself.
Yeah,
you know, I could make the case that Doom 2016 is art, or Doom Eternal. I can make the case that Space Marine 2 is art. I don't have to, because like it's like, well, I just like the game. Yeah, it's pretty, you know.
Yeah. And
so,
it's kind of falls into that category. If everything is art, then art is meaningless. You know, like why even be concerned about it? If everything is art just from the point of entry, then maybe actually focus on the actual qualities that it has to bear, and then the art is just kind of, you know, it's just vestigial at that point in time.
That's it. Like Mr. 0303 said, games are also a product. And that's what that's ultimately what it is. They're a product first. And so yeah, that's what I think. All around the current world and hold no expectations. I don't get that. It's one of the few games in Museum of Modern Art. I guess because it has like that abstract look, but again, like it doesn't. That's what I'm saying though. They're elevating the game.
Yeah.
To
I don't
like,
think Parappa the Rappa was concerned about being art when it came out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. It's like if you are focused on just making something that you want to make, you know, Schedule 1 right now. I call it GTA South Park. You know.
Yeah.
And that was made by the one guy. He's now looking, due to his success, to actually develop a team to support the future milestones and everything like that. But ultimately, you know, he wanted to make something that was fun and enjoyable, and the art, you know, only comes through in the sense that there's a verisimilitude, that everything has cohesion. But I don't think anybody's really focused on that aspect of it. You know, it's an element, but it's not the draw, you know. And I think that's ultimately what is inherent in games, is that you can chase after realism, do all this stupid bullshit that so many games are trying to do these days. But if you're not actually interested in telling the story, making a flow state, giving people an actual immersive world that they can get lost in, not because it looks like what's right outside the window, because it's far easier for me to go outside for free than it is to buy a, you know, simulated experience that's just sitting here and beating me over the head with everything that I'm trying to escape. You know, it's just that there's a lot of time and circumstance just spent in the game industry currently in areas where it doesn't really need to be, and the focus on what should be there is the stuff that's like further down on the page of stuff that they're even worried about getting in there, and that's unfortunate, you know.
Well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments, but I'd like to see your thoughts. But yeah, I mean, I think that Alyssa's basically saying what a lot of people believe, which is when you call something art, it elevates it artificially. Well, they don't know. They don't think it's artificial. They think that it's meaningful, but it's not helping the game sales any. It's still failing. But but to them that doesn't matter. That's the thing, right? It's about they see it as what's important is not that it sells well, because selling well is capitalism. Capitalism is bad. But what matters is that it has an impact, and that's what matters, right? So, and of course, if like remember, I think last week we were talking about. I think I said this, that the Hugo Awards were going to they were nominating Dragon Age of Veilguard or an award for best like narrative design in video games. See, if they do that, then Dragon Age: The Veilguard gets to put that on their marketing. Oh, this game won an award from the Hugos. The purpose of it is to sell more copies. So it's just like, they're just trying to like work around the fact that nobody wants to play their garbage.
Right.
And they'll use that.
Yeah, and that is a common instance these days of if you have a game that is a game first, you don't need all the awards to sell it. It sells itself. And we've mentioned it before here at length that awards shows and all the things they're doing is just stealth marketing, generally in the effort to support the message and all this kind of ideological framework. So, yeah, I see something that's touting all of the awards that it's gotten. That's usually a sign to me that I just need to go and put my focus on something else.
Right.
Quite honest.
And that's why the game journals went after the devs of Lords of the Fallen 2.0 because they were doing the opposite of that. They were looking to see what the customer wanted. They can give it to them. So, but let's move on to the next story. We're going to stay on the theme of film and story and art. And this is a little bit of an interesting one. So, American Psycho director baffled by film's Wall Street bro fandom. We saw it as a gay man's satire on masculinity. We saw it this way. But you guys aren't seeing it that way. Why is that? So I want to look at this really quick because I think it is kind of funny. So essentially, American Psycho, directed by Mary Herron and based on Bret Easton Ellis's novel from 1991. Stars Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. Have you ever seen American Psycho before?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but
okay.
I've seen that and Rules of Attraction, which is tangentially associated.
Oh, really? Rules of Attraction?
Yeah,
I'd never seen that one.
Oh,
so you're saying it's related to it in a way, like narratively?
Yeah. I believe one of the characters in Rules of Attraction is actually related to Patrick.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but it's such a small kind of just it's there, but it's not anything that you would even notice, especially if you're watching the movie. But yeah.
Oh, well, no, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, since the late 2010s, American Psycho basically has become a significant part of meme culture, particularly among younger audiences. Patrick Bateman has been transformed into a Sigma male and Chad archetype, terms used online to describe a hypermasculine, independent, and dominant male figure. But the thing is that the memes, the Patrick Bateman thing it's sort of like tongue in cheek. Like people know that he plays like a disturbed guy in the movie, but he's still like they think he's so funny because the movie has a lot of comedy in it that they could have like ironically support Patrick Bateman, and that's still like a thing that we see like all the time, right? But the Bret Easton Ellis, the author of the novel as well as the director, has expressed confusion and ambivalence about how American Psycho has been reinterpreted by modern audiences, particularly through memes. This sentiment isn't directly quoted in the web results, but is implied through the cultural shift described. Ellis originally intended American Psycho as a satire of 1980s materialism and toxic masculinity, using Patrick Bateman to critique the emptiness of consumer culture and the dehumanizing effects of unchecked privilege. The novel and film portray Bateman as a deeply flawed, narcissistic, and violent character, a cautionary tale rather than a role model. This is according to the author's intentions. However, online communities, especially on platforms like 4chan and Reddit, have reimagined Bateman as a based Sigma male, a figure to be admired for his confident style and disregard for societal norms. Yes, that's very based of you. Memes like Dub's Guy, where Bateman's image is used to celebrate double-digit post numbers on 4chan, and fan art redraws further cement his status as an internet icon, often divorced from the film's satirical intent. The reinterpretation has led to a disconnect for Ellis. He has publicly noted in interviews, not directly cited in the results, that he finds it perplexing that a character meant to be a critique of toxic masculinity is now celebrated by some as an aspirational figure. They're like, you're supposed to not like this.
Right. And that's actually, I just went and I double checked because I thought this was the case, but I couldn't remember exactly. So I consulted the interwebs. And the Oracle has told me that, yes, indeed, the main character in Rules of Attraction is actually Patrick Bateman's younger brother, which is why he's also kind of psychotic.
I've never seen Rules of Attraction, but now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. It's James Vanderbeek plays the main character.
Oh, James Vanderbeek based.
Yep.
That's funny. So yeah, we know this is a cult hit, and apparently he thought that this director thought, well, I thought I was basically suggesting that Patrick Bateman is a homo or something. I don't know. Like there was some gay shit going in here. And they didn't like the Wall Street bro image. But this is the thing that I think is interesting about this, though. This is sort of like the Starship Troopers situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a little bit deeper than this, because Starship Troopers, Paul Verhoeven was, for whatever reason, convinced that Heinlein's book was fascist because Heinlein was a fascist, even though Heinlein was a libertarian, which is like the opposite of fascism, but like lefties don't understand libertarianism anyway. And so what he did was he was like, I'm going to adapt the movie and I'm going to satirize the crap out of it by having everybody dressed like Gestapo, and they're going to like kill the bugs and enjoy it. And they're going to say, they're going to like just do all of the things that like have all of the window dressing of fascism. But I'm going to do the story straightforward, which is expose how dumb he was, because he didn't realize that what he presented was nothing fascist at all outside of the fashion sense, which is good fashion sense, by the way. I mean, you can say what you want about the Nazis, but they knew how to dress.
I mean, Hugo Boss, that's where he got his start, was, like making those officer uniforms.
Yeah, exactly. So it didn't work out. Well, I mean, like a lot of people are still stupid enough to think that what Verhoeven interpreted is the truth. But for anyone with like some media literacy, they should be able to tell that isn't the case. With American Psycho, I think it's a little bit different. I think that everybody knows what the author was trying to do, but we don't care. Like this is like when the person describes them as modern audiences, we're just talking about men. It's modern men, okay? The male audience, the Zoomer men, love this character. They love this stuff, and they know it upsets people. They know it pisses people off. That's why they do it. Like the meme of Patrick Bateman walking into the office wearing headphones and listening to music, and they play different things over it. Like sometimes it's like a Hitler speech, or it's like like the
brigades.
Yeah, like or whatever, people screaming, like the woman. What is it? She's the one that's like, no, like in after the one Trump won the election,
like
that. Like just women screaming and crying, roundabout, right, like whatever, right? And but they know that this is a character you're not supposed to like. So what this is essentially a masculine rebellion against it. It's like people saying, well, you're not supposed to like this guy because he has all of these traits that, we think are negative. And of course, the film, and I like the movie, but the film does try to make associations like, if you're a man that, wants to stay in shape and cares about your appearance and how you dress and wants to make money, then you're also all of these bad things. You also want to kill prostitutes. You use women, and it's all like, it's obviously conflating masculine traits that are positive with generally negative traits that anyone can have and calling it all masculine. And no, like young men are not having it anymore. And so they're just sort of like memeing it. And the fact that this guy gets butthurt over it, I think is kind of hilarious. Let me see if there's anything else here. Presented by Vicino with the statistic that slightly more fans with she, her pronouns have picked American Psycho as one of their overall favorite movies than those with he, him pronouns. Ugh.
What would make a great meme is just taking the text from this article and having it play in the background of him in the hallway walking scene, just with his headphones on.
What song?
Well, just the scene of Patrick Bateman with the headphones on, just
Yeah, yeah.
just walking through this whole line of bullshit, because it's just like
yeah, right.
right, because I mean that's the thing is like like Patrick Bateman, the movie's called American Psycho, like there's no there's no mystery there. Clearly, what people are gravitating to is the quality of the character that Christian Bale is playing and what he brings to it. And it's escapism again, like nobody's trying to model their life after Patrick Bateman. It's just it's a way to watch a movie and be like, dude, that's fucking crazy shit. You should check this out sometime. And that's what these people fail to actually recognize is that you can actually just watch things and take something away from it that is inherently just about the experience that you had rather than the message they're trying to give you. And the same thing happened when I was in a crowded theater watching Starship Troopers, and it was one of the most fun movie going experiences I've ever had because it turned into how like all the kids with the chicken jockey and all that stupid shit that's happening with
Minecraft, yeah.
Yeah, it was perhaps the most audience interactive movie experience I've ever had because everybody was just like having a great time.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah,
I went. There was this place in Chicago called Bruin View, and it was like a little cheap theater where you can like drink beer and watch movies. Hence the name Bruin View. And they would play like a lot of old like cult classics there, and it was kind of like so you could watch like Evil Dead 2 and stuff like that. But I went to see Big Trouble in Little China in the Bruin View. And man, my friends and we had so much fun. Everybody knew all the lines. We were all saying them, and at one point, I think the film, like it kind of like cut out for a little while and we just went ahead and just kept doing the bit. Like we just did the rest of the scene. Like everybody just talked it out. Oh, so much fun. That's the point of movies, by the way, is a community, Okay. So like, the writer of American Psycho, the guy who wrote the book, is gay. So he was trying to stick it to the man by like having Patrick Bateman engage in what he called a homoerotic rituals that he believes so-called alpha males participate in, which is also true in sports and Wall Street. This is his quote or what he said. And all these things where men are prizing their extreme competition and they're elevating their prowess kind of thing. There's something very, very gay about the way they're fetishizing looks and the gym. They're so obsessed with their looks, and Brett could see it and focus on it and underline it, the filmmaker opined. So this was the director. It was the thing that Valerie Solanas of I Shot Andy Warhol always said. There was a reversal of alpha male culture, which was more like culture of teenage girls.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of what Chuck Palahniuk tried to say when
Fight Club.
Everyone Fight Club, yeah. And he's like you're enjoying it the wrong way. It's like
yeah, Fight Club wasn't. No, that's true, because I was going to mention Fight Club. That's another movie that people don't realize that Chuck, the author, was trying to say something negative about men and masculinity. I think he gave the character like mommy issues or something. Yeah, it was like, but people just like, I don't care, I guess, right? That's fine. That's the same thing with American Psycho. The idea was you're supposed to like be introspective and, oh my God, is that me? And be worried about it. But like the only people who got offended at American Psycho were feminists anyway. So you want to know how? Okay. The book got a lot of attacks. The book, so not the movie. The book got a lot of attacks by people who never read the book, said the writer-director in reference to the outrage expressed by various feminists and feminist groups at the time of the film's release. Not that there isn't a lot of horrific violence in the book, but there's, to me, a clear critique. So feminists are the ones that were triggered by the book and by the movie being made, not men. And now the movie has been out, the only people who give it a cult following are the men who meme it.
Right.
So it's funny because you're getting success, you're enjoying some success from the people that you were trying to shit on. Same thing with Fight Club. Women don't watch that. Same thing with Starship Troopers. Women don't watch that. Right. I think my wife likes it, and she's kind of a rare bird,
Yes. Based lady from Canada. Yeah, that is rare.
Yeah, for sure. She knows it. So yeah, This is like the Wall Street shark archetype, and I love this movie. I can quote it. I quote it with my friends all the time. So it's just it's just interesting the way that people in Hollywood try to make a statement, and the only reason why these things become popular is because the people that you were trying to shit on enjoyed it, and now they're just like essentially they're co-opting it and making it their own.
Right.
So
right
there you go. All right. Let's see Paul Allen's review. No, let's move on to the next story. So I'm still talking about movies, and this was something that I thought was kind of interesting. So like today is the last day of Holy Week, and tomorrow is Easter, or for the Orthodox, Pascha. So usually Pascha and Easter, they don't usually fall on the same day, but this year they do. This year they're falling on the same day. I'm going to be going to church at Arcade. You are badgering the fuck out of that, honey. Thank you. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'll take it. Thank you for joining M Driver 1981.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
so.
I used to play on your name.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be going to service tonight. It's going to be long. It's going to be like from 11:30 at night until probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. This is how the Pascha celebration goes. It is essentially a celebration of the resurrection that ends with the divine liturgy and communion. And then the fast will be over, which has been going on for 40 days, basically. It'll be 40 days tomorrow. The fast is basically a vegan fast, so we can eat shellfish and stuff, which I've been doing a lot. But nonetheless, I'm very hungry. I'm ready to get back to red meat. And but the reason why I'm saying that is because Netflix is showing right now The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson,
right,
which was a very controversial film. And it still is a very controversial film, partly because Mel Gibson is controversial, but mostly because the film is controversial. Have you ever seen The Passion of the Christ? 2007.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Back when I worked at the video store, I'm sure that I watched it all the way. I vaguely recall having it be one of those things, because I used to get movies all the time, so I would watch like 10 or 15 movies a week back in those days, art school days, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. But thankfully, like, I already knew the story, so it's
how the story goes. I have an idea of I kind of, out of spoilers for The Passion of the Christ, Jesus gets crucified and dies. But okay, so what am I showing on the screen here? So this is the thing that I learned today, and this is like, I'm going to use this to make the argument for keeping your physical media. So I own Passion of the Christ on DVD, and I haven't watched it since I bought it, because I think I saw it once when I bought it, and once in the theater. Because I usually watch a DVD one time when I buy it, just to make sure that there's no scratches and it works just fine. But I haven't watched it since. Yeah. But what I'm gonna do is there's something that happened with the Netflix version of this film.
I heard about this.
You know about this?
Yep.
So when you first boot the movie up, when you start the movie, this is the first shot right here. Is basically just a black screen with this passage from the New Testament. Isaiah 53, he was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. By his wounds we are healed. And this is supposed to set the tone for the entire film, which is mostly just Jim Caviezel getting the crap beat out of him by Romans and Jews. And it's brutal. It's brutal. So Isaiah's Old Testament. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. So in the Netflix version of this screen is missing. It's not there.
It's been replaced.
It's just removed. There's just a black screen instead of this quote from Isaiah. So the Netflix version of The Passion of the Christ omits the opening scripture quote from Isaiah 53:5, which is pivotal verse in the original theatrical release. It's a pivotal verse. The verse reads, I already read this. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. In the original 2004, so it came out 2004. I was off by a few years. This verse appears at the start to set the tone and theological context, emphasizing the prophetic significance of Jesus' suffering. On Netflix, however, the film begins with 13 seconds of black screen instead of displaying the scripture as noted by viewers. Why did they do this?
Oh, they wouldn't want to.
Why do you think? Like, I've seen them change things in the past. Like, I believe that Disney Plus, I think it was Disney Plus, they digitally, or it might have been Netflix, they digitally altered Daryl Hannah, in Splash.
It was Disney Plus,
Yeah, it was Disney Plus. Driver 1981 says, I was certain I would get bounced for making that name play joke. Forever the Christian, honey, forgave me. Yeah. You're fine. I mean, it wasn't a great joke, but I'm not mad.
Yeah.
so okay. Isaiah is supposedly Isaiah 53 is a controversial chapter in interfaith context, referred to as, quote, the forbidden chapter, end quote, by some Jewish scholars. Pause for effect. It is often omitted from traditional synagogue readings due to its messianic interpretations, which Christians associate with Jesus. The removal may have been an attempt to avoid potential backlash or controversy from audiences who might find the verse's inclusion divisive or overly evangelical.
I mean, you're watching a movie called Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is akin to taking just clipping things out for the sake of narrative control. And that's ultimately what Netflix was doing.
So, yes. So the issue is, just to make it clear, okay, Netflix is supposedly a global platform. Therefore, it had to navigate complex cultural and religious sensitivities to appeal to a diverse subscriber base. Removing the verse could reflect an effort to make the film less overtly Christian in its framing, potentially reducing the risk of alienating non-Christian viewers or sparking debate over the verse's interpretation. Okay, like, let's be real for a second.
Philip Christ, it's Jesus.
Like, what are you? So they're saying that this might offend non-Christians. Why are non-Christians watching The Passion of the Christ? Like, I mean, like, I wasn't Christian when I watched it. I just wanted to watch the movie because I heard it was good at the time. I wasn't at the time. Okay, I was agnostic, but I would not have changed anything. Like, just on principle.
Right.
Okay. But like, so then who's really bothered by this? Are atheists bothered by the absence of the Isaiah quote? I don't think they are. I think that if anything, they're bothered by the whole movie existing. So let me just read this bit again, because I think this is the important detail. Okay. And you just you decide whatever you want to decide about this. Just think about whatever you think this means. Okay. I leave it to you, the audience. To you, the people. Isaiah 53 is a controversial chapter in interfaith context, referred to as the forbidden chapter. The forbidden chapter by some Jewish scholars. It is often omitted from traditional synagogue readings due to its messianic interpretations, which Christians associate with Jesus. So Christians believe Jesus is the Messiah, and some people don't. And that's the problem. The problem, and so they, now, of course, you shouldn't have a Netflix account there's a lot of reasons not to have a Netflix account. So I'm not using this as like, this is the last straw. Like, I haven't had Netflix in years, in decades. But this is very interesting. It's very telling. And it is, what I'm going to say is that you need to own physical media, because digital media is going to be altered to suit the sensibilities of some that will. And I think that, in particular, people that are, Western and Christian should especially be on the lookout for this. because
corporatist
it's
globalism is everywhere, and
yeah.
you know, and as much as Netflix is a global platform, dare I say, so is Christianity. And
Yeah.
maybe they just don't like the competition, so they're trying to get people to be embedded in the surface of now and not actually, be challenged by what it is that they try to platform in all their various endeavors. Because a lot of the stuff that they do is pretty reprehensible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Somebody in some comments in the chat I want to read really quick.
Mhm.
Bob the Darkest Fairy says Muslims are Jews. No, we won't mess with those. We won't mess with those at all.
Yeah.
Especially those. Christian erasure is fine. Yes, it is. Well, it happens all the time. Or it's sort of repackaged, it's altered. There's a lot of heresy. I love using the word heresy, but it's true. I'm being accurate.
Mhm.
Bad Sad says, went to the movie theater to watch this film on release with the family. I saw it with my friends, but it was like, it definitely left an impact.
Yeah.
Um,
You were there on
Evan-
Reality Base the day that we watched that that video clip about that Canadian church, right?
I don't remember.
Oh god, it was absolutely terrible. They did like this whole trans celebration in some church in
Oh,
Canada.
the woke churches. Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. The God, women and their consequences. Yeah, that's what that is. It's basically like I'm not going to blame all of Protestantism for this, because I think that there's a lot of Protestants that they're generally like got it right, but definitely Protestantism is how we got to these. They're actually called I'm pretty sure it's a Unitarian church.
Yeah, it was.
But Unitarian churches are not Christian at all. They're complete heresy. They're absolutely heretical. But anyway, M Driver says, despite my attitude towards Islam, I actually do like the 1970s film The Message. I've never heard of it, but maybe I'll look into it. Norwegian Black Templar says, the idiocy of making a movie about Christ less Christian. Well, wouldn't I want to offend the people who don't believe Jesus is the Messiah and that he's actually in hell, like, I don't know, waist deep in crap with his like whore of a mother. I don't believe that, but some people do. I believe they wrote it in a book. Bob the Darkest Fairy says their principles are obvious. Yes. Marin Rabarek says less Christian. My dude, it's Passion of the Christ. Yes, it's a Christian movie. Like, if you don't want to watch a Christian movie, then don't watch it, but don't change it. Like, it's not going to change. I know it's not to appease a broader audience of people. It's literally to remove this quote, which I'm going to put back on the screen.
It was to appease a boardroom of people that have, their aims on just profiteering, not prophecy.
Yep. Gabriel Phelan Lucas says some Jewish scholars. Yes. There are different in Judaism. There are different groups as well. There is such a thing as a Messianic Jew that does believe that Jesus is the Messiah, but they're not popular amongst other Jews. So sadly, and that's like the thing that we have to wrestle with is like Islam at least recognizes Jesus as a prophet. They just don't think he's the last prophet. They think that's Muhammad, but at least they acknowledge that Jesus is a prophet and that he performed miracles and all that. So there are Netflix patches. Yeah, probably. Rick says the only time you hear Jesus in a Unitarian church is when someone stubs their toe. Gabriel says there's no hell in Judaism. Well, maybe only. Yeah, I've heard that too, but I've also heard that Jesus is in hell. So I don't know. Maybe they don't have hell. Maybe they have something. Maybe Jesus is the only person in there. Maybe it's just for him.
All right.
But anyway, that aside, I mean, it's really messed up that this is where we're at. And I have noticed though, it hasn't really. I've noticed that there's more sort of religious content out there that's doing pretty well. Like, I haven't seen any of this stuff because I don't really get out much, but there's a movie. It's an animated movie called King of Kings, which is about it's about Jesus, but it's told
Oscar Isaacs.
Oscar Wilde, I think, or no,
Oscar Isaac's the guy who was
Oscar Isaac plays Jesus. Yeah, I know who he is, but it's a writer. He's telling his son about Jesus, not Oscar Wilde. But anyway, yeah, so that stuff is successful. There is more of that coming around. So I don't know. I feel like it's coming to something. Charles Dickens, thank you, Rick. It was Charles Dickens. Yes, Charles Dickens talking to his son, and I would check it out because I've seen that Angel Studios, and I hope that other people who don't make necessarily religious content are doing this too, because Hollywood is just like, it's completely like a shit show. Okay, there is almost nothing coming out that anybody's interested in. You know, Fantastic Four is cooked. I knew it was going to be anyways. There's nothing coming out. Maybe like the new Mission Impossible. I think that's basically it. So we need new independent studios, but I think more and more of that is happening. And Angel Studios is doing really well. They got like people from that worked at Pixar and DreamWorks working on their movies for animation. So, you know, they probably have some good stuff. I just hope that it's like, you know, I hope that they broaden their net in terms of different kinds of content.
Yeah.
So anyway. So once again, he was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. By his wounds we are healed. And I'm just saying that one more time before we move on to the next story, because I think it's really messed up. And fortunately, I own a copy of this. So let me hold on a second. I'm looking something up. All right. So I think now we can get into some cake. We're basically like getting to the end here. So I wanted to show you guys what are some games that I'm playing and that I've really enjoyed, and what is going on with the games that I like as well. So I already talked a little bit about Lords of the Fallen 2.0, which I will definitely show you guys or talk a little bit about more about that later. So somebody in the chat asked, what do Messianic Jews believe? Messianic Jews hold a unique set of beliefs that combine elements of Judaism and Christianity as detailed in the provided web search results. I asked Grok to tell me so I can like summarize it for you guys. So they believe in Jesus. Messianic Jews believe that Jesus, referred to by his Hebrew name Yahshua, is the promised Messiah of the Jewish people and the Savior of humanity. They accept him as divine, often aligning with Christian theology by viewing him as God the Son, part of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. However, some Messianic Jews reject the Trinitarian doctrine and see Jesus as a human Messiah and prophet, interpreting Son of God in a metaphorical sense, akin to Jewish tradition where all Jews are considered children of God. So they have a slightly different perspective, but they're generally like, they don't hate Jesus. They're not big fans of the Talmud. Let's just put it that way. So that I thought that there, so there is difference. There's Reformed Jews, there's Orthodox Jews, there's standard traditional Jews, there's Messianic Jews. There's lots of different kinds. There's atheist Jews, revolutionary Jews. So yeah, the Messianic Jews are cool.
Yeah.
So anyway,
money changers. Sorry.
The what?
I said money changers.
The money lenders.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Somebody made a Jesus Christ build in Elden Ring, and they gave him a whip.
Right.
Yeah, like it was pretty funny. It worked out. Okay, but anyway, okay, yeah. So let's look at some cake. So first, we're gonna look at a new update for Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. So they're still adding free content to this game, which I think is great. Mm-hmm. So let's check a look at this.
Extermination. May the Emperor damn this monstrosity. Face the blazing justice of the Emperor. Not even this interminable storm dampens our chapter's colors. The Trigon breaches the sand. Brace for the beast. We must confront and exterminate this profane tyranny.
New weapons, new chapters,
For the Emperor!
a new mission.
Nice.
And this is all free.
Nice, nice.
Space Wolves chapter pack. Look at that helmet though.
No aid comes for you. Only a swift death.
I like that shoulder pad, but I think I like the salamanders though. Imperial fists.
Obliterate
Pretty dope
every
looking
last
guy, too.
odious scourge. The Trigon could be anywhere. Clever beast aims to pounce upon us.
Get your battle hammers ready, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Looks good. Looks good. My boys, fisting time. Oh, you're an Imperial Fist fan, eh? Okay. So what else? Oh, so I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I want to show off Imperial Fist, aka Dorn's Tism Boys, Norwegian Black Templar. I think he knows a little something about the lore.
Right.
Okay, so I wanted to show off this game I've been playing. And it is, I'm gonna see if I can find like a short gameplay trailer or something. There's a lot of people playing this right now, so game trailer. There we go, game trailer. Where is it? Yeah. So I think I may have shown this like
I vaguely recall the crying emoji.
I don't know if I did actually. But this game is called Repo, and I've been playing it with my wife is obsessed with this game. Absolutely obsessed. She loves it. And it's hard to get her into stuff, but this is a lot of fun. I've streamed it a couple of times on my channel, and I played it with my wife and Gabriel, who's in the chat. And I think you can get it for pretty cheap right now. I'll look it up in a bit, but it's getting another update pretty soon. So let me show you guys.
Oh, God! Run for your life!
Ooh, tiny.
Be careful, be careful.
Goo gaga. Goo gaga.
Look at us, we're so professional. Okay, guys, I have a plan. No! Stop! No, Michael, don't get involved in this. Give it to me.
No. Okay, let's buy some items.
I get you up here for survival. Yeah. It's here, upstairs. Oh my God! No! Oh, it's evil! No!
So Repo
what does it
is
speak to? What's the message?
Yeah, I don't know. What's it trying to say about about society? What is it saying? No, so the game is basically you can play up with up to 6 players, but the thing when you play up to 6 players, it's kind of like a horror game in a way. But you go into a abandoned facility and you have to find valuable things for the taxman, put them in a cart and extract them out. And all the stuff, it's physics based, so a lot of the stuff is kind of breakable. In a way, it's very similar to Content Warning, but
yeah,
the goals are a little bit different. Although Content Warning is a lot of fun too.
It was blast.
Yeah, big blast. We'll have to do it again sometime. But like, yeah, it's art. Thank you, Robert Johnson. This is art. I agree. I think that's art. No, but the thing about this that I really like though, and I think Content Warning has this too, is it's got this you have to be mic'd up. It's very social, and you because you talk to the other people, and it has like, what do you call it, where if someone is like far away, you can hear them more. Yeah, it's got proximity audio, I guess. So the closer they, and then like the audio changes. Like if you're in a large empty room, then you have an echo, and Yeah, it's a co-op physics comedy horror game inspired by Lethal Company. That's probably a good way to put it. And I think, let me just see here. I want to see how much it is right now because I don't even know. But I would highly recommend it. And I want to get in a group with, because you can play up to 6 players together. And if I can get into a group with 6, that'd be freaking awesome and a lot of fun. So let me see. Where is Repo? I think somebody's playing it right now. Oh, yeah. I don't know who that is. If I go to the store page for this, it is, yeah, it's like $10. $10, guys. Totally fun. Totally worth it. I've got to say. And they update it. You know, they're going to be doing an update where they're going to be adding like another map and a bunch of new items and like expressions. The characters, you know, that you play, they're robots and they look like Muppets. It's very funny. And the game is a lot of fun, pretty challenging too. So Repo looks much more fun than Content Warning. Yeah, it's well, I have to play more Content Warning, but it's a different thing. I would say it's different. They're very similar though. They're very similar in terms of like the feel, you know, and then the comedy. But yeah, that was one I wanted to show off. You want to look at some sales numbers, or do you have like another game that you want to check out? Let's look at some sales numbers. Okay. So Steam charts. Let's go. All right. So let's share this tab instead. And we'll just put it on the screen there. All right. So Dragon is the Veilguard. One, I just put the first thing in. We'll just enter them as we go. 1,787. Despite being given away, you know, despite everything, that's not good for this game. But it did win awards. It's nominated for a Hugo, so I guess it's art, and that just changes everything. Yep. South of Midnight. Let's take a look. 669 players. Oof. Yeah, that's on its way out. Of course, people will say, "Well, it's a single player game and we're done." But no, I don't think so. I think that it reached the audience. It's just the audience is not very big, or we're all uncultured swine that don't realize this is art, and that's why we're not enjoying it. We're not worthy. We're not worthy of this. Yeah, clearly. What else? Let's do you have a suggestion for a game I should look at?
I guess we can look at Lords of the Fallen.
Oh yeah, that's good. Let's look up Avowed really quick.
Yeah.
It just came to mind. 958. Yikes.
20, not even 20,000.
Last of Us 2. Let's go. Last of Us 2. Part 2 remastered. Is that it?
Is
Dude,
that
what
the most?
The hell is that?
There's been 10 versions of this game.
I know. It's like the only thing Naughty Dog knows how to do is like constantly remaster shit now.
Right.
16,000 is that's not good for that. They're just milking the crap out of this IP, and it's been dead since like the first one came out. Like I don't know, like the first one was good, but that was the end. Like that was the end.
Yeah.
So
it would be better to revisit Jack and Daxter at this point in time, but I don't think
Neil Druckmann's not going to do that. You can't speak to like the queer identity and like misogyny with Jack and Daxter. And besides, I wouldn't want him to take it because he's ruined it. He'd introduce like a female character or something. You know, no, don't do it. Don't touch it. Okay,
True
you
enough.
said Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Lords of the Fallen. I have to. Is this the right one? 2023. Yeah, this is it right here.
Yep.
So it's seeing. Okay, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
So it's on the way up. So it was like kind of low, and now the new patch came out, and it's like it's starting to go up. It literally, I think it just came out like the other day.
Yeah.
It's very new. So
I mean, it's going through a
that's
peak
good
right now because I mean it's all time player high is the current amount of people that are playing it right now, so it's ascending. This is great.
Yeah,
this is what you want to see.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad. This looks really promising. So very cool. Very cool. Schedule 1. Schedule 1. 184,289. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Most gamers like marathon aesthetics. We'll see when the game comes out. I mean, if you say so, we'll see. Don't put that evil on us, John. Dean Domino. I think The Last of Us 2 did a remaster that recently came out on Steam. I already read that. Team Fortress 2, you have camp spawning with those figures. Marin Rabarik says, I wouldn't trust modern Naughty Dog with the Jack and Daxter. No,
No. I mean, when I say
it.
that, it's not because I actually want them to. I'm just saying that they would be better to, actually.
They would ruin it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But they would be better to like go back to their roots and just like, hey, because the first Jack game, the first Jack and Daxter was just a simple, collection game with a nice enough story, and then Jack 2 came out and like it was, like something else, and it was definitely a game that built upon itself, and I would not trust modern Naughty Dog to do anything with it. I'm just, if anything, what I'm saying is I would much rather play Jack and Daxter.
Yeah. All right, Marvel Rivals, 163,138, so still blowing up everywhere, especially since the White Queen was launched, and she is thick as hell, so everybody's playing this game. And they announced that Marvel, because their sales are so bad, they're bringing back their swimsuit edition. Do you guys remember the Marvel comic swimsuit issues? Yeah, they're bringing back a swimsuit issue, and they're going to take some of the skins from that and put them in Marvel Rivals, so get ready to goon.
Indeed.
Hey, at least NetEase knows where their bread is buttered. I mean, you can't fault them for that. Right. So, all right. What else? I do have another trailer I could show off really quick. So
sure.
There's a game called Mandragora that just came out. You might like this. It's some people are calling it like a Souls-like, but I think it's got. Well, I'll show you the gameplay, okay?
This world fell to the forces of darkness before many of you were even born.
It's an indie title.
Right.
To me, it looks kind of like, I guess, Castlevania vibes from it in a way, but... It's got RPG elements, loot, talent trees that are massive. Look at that.
Looks pretty awesome.
And not only on PlayStation, it's on Steam and everything else. So I just grabbed the PlayStation trailer for it. And there's a demo on Steam if you want to check it out. So you can download the demo. I know it was explicitly like advertised as a Souls-like, but I think that's just like a way to gain interest because it has like the dark fantasy aesthetic, but it's more like
Metroidvania.
There's like those 2D Souls-likes like Blasphemous and the other game I'm thinking of. I think it was like Dead Cells or something like that. That was like an older one. I mean, maybe it feels like that. It definitely, has some of that, but I don't know. I get more of a like you said, a Metroidvania feel. Like there's like everything is on a 2D plane and there's exploration. It looks good. Looks like a Metroidvania. Yeah, in a way. I mean, it's got leveling and quests and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure. I would say check out the demo. It's free. You can just download it and see for yourself. Okay, so there's a new Ninja Gaiden. So let me put that in. Or like a new what's it called? Ragebound? Is that the name of it? Let me see. It's like the 2D one. Kumori reveal trailer. So they're adding another character or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe more gameplay elements. Yeah, it's another playable character, I guess. This game is made by the same team that did Blasphemous. So they're really good with the 2D pixel art. All right. So that is essentially like a reveal for another character. Dean Domino says, I've got some Granvir and Eyes of the Sky for $1.99. Thank you. All right, we'll watch those really quick and then I'm going to wrap it up because it's like past the time. But
yeah,
Granvir. So
I got a low-key weekend after this. Well, low-key as it gets for me.
If I can get through tonight, I'm going to be up late as hell, so it's going to be rough.
Sounds that way.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Granvir. Okay, giant mecha. Build your Granvir. Customizable mecha. Highlight your build. Scavenge for parts. All right.
Nice.
Direct your campaign. There you go. It's on Steam. I don't know. That looks good. I kind of like the low poly thing. I don't know why. There's something appealing about it. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Eyes of the Sky.
I think games like that, they rely more on that flow state stuff that I was talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And
maybe I should take game because I'm not listening to licensed music. Is it this one? Rust Eye in the Sky? No, that's Rust. I don't see it. This is music, I think. It might not be on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll see if it's on Steam. Let me just check it. Try Steam. Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah. While you're searching for that,
Yeah,
Yeah, I have received my package from Old Man CAD, so I actually have a serviceable laptop that I'll be able to use for the foreseeable future. He even
Sweet.
sent me a webcam, so who knows? Here soon we might actually see me bust out that updated VTuber model that I have.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right,
time.
man. All right, let's take a look at this trailer. Okay. It's an asymmetrical local co-op escape room where a VR player and a computer player solve puzzles from different perspectives. The goal is to share information from each other's perspective and overcome the obstacles on a journey to the center of a post-apocalyptic robot planet.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, since this game is just playing music, I'm gonna wrap it up while this is playing because I got to take off. So
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
all right. Well, thanks guys for coming on the show. This looks pretty interesting too. I think that social games are kind of the future. I think that like with games like Repo and Content Warning and others, but I think that the next step is going to be like integrating like social, like I don't know about social media, but like a new kind of social media into gaming itself. I think that's going to be the future. I think that that's like what people are going to have the most fun with, and I look forward to seeing where the genre goes. But yeah, definitely like Repo was a very small team. I think it's like 2 people and they blew the fuck up. Schedule 1 is also social, blew up 1 guy. That's what people want. So I hope
would,
that yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd certainly argue there's far more success in taking that approach of social dynamics than there is with, you know, these VR trappings that are, you know, about isolating you more often than not. So
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. So if you guys well, I mean, just yeah, because I'm out of time. So if you guys like this video, thanks for coming on the show, by the way. But if you guys like this video, please hit like. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to catch me tomorrow, I will of course be over on Will of the Fans channel. We're doing episode 2 of the new season for Who TF Cares, which we've now changed the name to because it's I'm contractually obligated to watch this episode, so that's what I'm going to be doing with my time today. Other than just watching WrestleMania and talking to people about Discord stuff and getting people set up with potential stream broadcasts and all that kind of wonderful stuff. But yeah, no, it's always a great time having conversations with you on the weekend. We tend to get into things here that we don't on the other channels that I'm a part of, which is always a fun thing to do. Because, you know, I find that the conversations we have are a little bit more in depth on this channel. So always a great time. Thanks for everybody who's joined us here in the chat, whether it's on YouTube, which is a ghetto. So definitely consider joining us on Rumble in the future, where it's far more of a enhanced chat experience. But yeah, with that said, though, safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful weekend going forward. Be awesome as always.
All right. Well, if you guys liked this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture. Price is risen, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder. about people being mean to other people. And maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.